everybody, or good evening, whatever time you're listening to this. It's a gorgeous, cloudless day in New Jersey. It's like the perfect temperature, 71 degrees, no humidity. What a shocker. But this is usually what we get, like around the beginning of May into June. It's like gorgeous, and then right after 4th of July, it gets so humid and like hardly breathable outside. So I'm excited for the next 2 months, at least, to be able to get outside while the air quality is still really good, for the most part. And yeah, I'm just really in this place of so much change and wanting to share a little bit about what I've discovered, at least in the birth realm, over the last year or so. And I think I'm going to do like a recap of what this first year of traditional midwifery school has taught me. That will be like a sit-down video that I film. But today, I think that so much is on my mind because we had the Midwifery Today Conference in Lancaster, Pennsylvania from the 1st to the 5th, and today is the 7th. So it's fresh on my heart, fresh on my mind, and this weekend was like truly incredible. We spent 5 days together, Sophia's Circle being our traditional midwifery school, and then midwives from all over. They traveled in from the West Coast, up north, down south. Everybody that came had such a valuable part to play in this midwifery conference, and I had a moment because I got to speak with Gail Hart for a little while, like so casually. She came into one of the rooms that me and a few women were sitting in from Sophia's Circle, and when she came in, she asked to sit down, and we were like, yeah, like, please sit down and hang out with us. And we just got to talk with her for like a whole hour, and I had to like pinch myself after because these are people I never imagined that I would be meeting. I never thought that pursuing this work was possible, being in New Jersey, but I'm realizing that my state won't limit me. My state won't limit my access to good information. I am willing to go above and beyond to make sure that the women that I serve are heard, seen, and loved, and that the learning always continues, and that these systems don't hold back my beliefs, my movement in this field. And it begins with the education. And I apologize for outside noise. I am on my commute as usual when I record these, so there will be some outside noises. But yeah, I was just so grateful to be able to sit in the room with these women. Nicole Morales from California was also a lead speaker this weekend, and she's a body worker, she's a midwife, and she's wonderful, and I learned so much from her. Our whole circle really aligned with her teachings, and it's just awesome to know that there's other midwives out there that their roots are traditional, and you know, they start from there. That's their foundation, and that's exactly where I'm beginning. So it was amazing and very hopeful to see some midwives from all over, and the Amish and Mennonite midwives that were there. Oh my goodness, they were so inspiring. There's one woman that serves in Pennsylvania, and it's been over 10,000 births for her, and she's been practicing for about 40 years, and like, whoa, like these women exist, and they are traditional midwives just serving their communities, and they're not big and flashy on Instagram. You're not going to see them all over the place, but they exist, and Midwifery Today brings those midwives together so we can all learn about each other and better midwifery and just enhance the birth world in every single way. So it was incredible, and it left me feeling like, wow, I just wish so many pregnant women were in that room. I just want this to be common knowledge. I want the education to get out there, and we are trying to figure out ways on how to do that. Whether we're doulas, other kinds of birth workers, educators, like all of us are feeling this fire in getting this information out there, and it slowly is. One of the things that I think is important that I just mentioned was for doulas to really get that childbirth education in. It's vital. It's vital in your role to spread this information. This is why we're here. This is why doulas exist. It's to help moms and families prepare for childbirth. It's not to just show up at the hospital and pretend like everything's going to be fine. Because statistics show, most of the time, you need to know things in order to make decisions. Like, it's just one of those professions. So I really, really, really consider getting a childbirth education and sharing as much information as you can with everybody, whether it's your doula families or just women that are going to sign up for classes from you. Share. And it's super important because this is part of our responsibility as doulas, is to educate and inform moms, like, what is actually going on. And I've been absolutely loving my role as a childbirth educator because I feel like I can say all of the things that maybe felt a little bit awkward as a doula. But once you learn the information, there's no second guessing what you're sharing with your families. Like, you're just bringing them information and then they can do what they want with it. But without us having a really strong understanding of what childbirth ed is, it's really hard to create birth plans and things that can actually be useful because there's a disconnect there. Mothers don't understand why they're choosing certain things if they're not educated on what that intervention really is and what it could actually lead to. So it's really important that we have a well-rounded education and that we're really able to share what this is. And as much as it's important to understand hospital intervention and what certain birth settings entail, this first year of midwifery, which I said I'm not going to get into going into this podcast, but the real important thing I've learned is how important it is to have that foundation of really trusting birth, learning what natural birth actually is, and refresh your mind if you have lost trust in birth. It's very easy to lose trust in birth as a hospital birth doula. It only took me 7 births before I was like, okay, does birth work? Like, what's going on here? And so if you are a seasoned doula, you've been in birth work for a really long time, even if you're just at that 7 births, or if you've even been discouraged by a few births, learn again, what is normal birth? Like, don't be afraid to really refresh your mind. Go back to Ina May's books, because honestly, Ina May puts it so plainly, and it's so easy to take in. Birth usually works, and this is why, is like the vibe. Another great book to check out, aside from Ina May's Guide to Childbirth and Ina May's Spiritual Midwifery, is the Down to Earth Birth book by Jenny Blythe. And Jenny really paints a beautiful understanding of how to prepare for labor and birth and describing the normal physiologic functions of birth. And if you're a reader or even a listener, it may be on Audible, I'm not sure. This can be so healing as a birth worker because we forget. We can lose trust in birth just from having some situations that were really out of hand or discouraging in the hospital setting. And even at home or a birth center, those places aren't discounted just because it's not a hospital. Sometimes home birth and birth center births become medicalized. So definitely redo that foundation. Get a new understanding of what birth means to you, because as you grow as a birth worker, your understanding and knowing and connections of how birth works will evolve with you. And so is it evolving in a more negative way, or is it evolving in a more positive way? And how are you bringing that energetically to your families? That's something that has really been prominent in my learning this last year, is just being really mindful of what my beliefs are around birth, and where are they limiting me, and how is this affecting my work, and how I show up. So I kind of said that a little bit messy, but I'm hoping that it makes sense. Childbirth education is so important to bring to your families. and learn about what is your idea of birth, learn about maybe the ideas that are false narratives, and then learn about the energy that you are bringing to your births, and even postpartum families, based off of what you think that you know. And how can you learn a little bit more and do a little bit more diving into what normal birth is, because this is going to transform the way that you feel about birth, share about birth, believe in birth. And this affects our families who are birthing in all different settings, not just hospital births. We're talking about all of the settings, because there's always things to be undoing and relearning when it comes to our maternal health care system. Even if a mother is a first-time mother, this is the first time she's doing this. So education is an absolute must, in my opinion. And, you know, it's good to know what to expect. Even if you're planning a home birth, what would a transfer look like? What are some of the little hospital protocols? You know, what might they entail? So I know what my options are when I get there. Or I can know how to advocate for myself, because I think one of the false, misinterpretations of doula work is that the doula is going to speak for you and guide your experience at the hospital. They're not really supposed to be doing that. They're supposed to be advocating in the sense where they're reminding you of what you want and what you don't want, and then explaining things based off of the situation, you know, if you need more information. But it's not their job to be communicating with your provider. Your provider wants to hear from you and your partner. So, and that's, you know, from a mother's perspective, if you're a doula who's communicating with the hospital staff, I encourage you to get a little bit more clear on the role that you're playing, because we're not medical support. We are there for information, and we should be sharing that with our moms, not trying to dictate what the doctor's doing. We want our moms to be making these decisions for themselves. We don't want to be included in this medical complex. We want to be reminding her of her options and her power. And I've heard so much lately about doulas speaking with the midwife or speaking with the doctor, and we're not medical support. We're really having a hard time with staying in our lane. And it's really hard to hear sometimes. So I'm encouraging for us doulas to begin understanding our beliefs in birth and then educating our families so they're prepared to make the choices. That's truly what we should be doing as doulas. And you are needed, and our voices are going to change birth. And we need to do it the right way. And the right way, in my opinion, is by not becoming a part of the medical complex, but by informing our mothers so they know how to make decisions and can get really clear on everything that's out here for them. Because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't have any options unless you know your options. So that's really where I'm at right now with that. I'm pretty on fire about it. So it's super exciting. But for now, I am just doing one-on-one childbirth education classes, and I'm also a teacher at Baby Live Advice. So it's been awesome so far, and I am realizing how extremely crucial childbirth education is. So thank you guys so much for listening. Let me know how you feel about some of the things that I said. I understand that it may be a little bit sensitive if you are a doula and you've been a doula for a long time. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below, and I hope you guys have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye-bye.